Women who live alone, what do you keep in your home to feel safe? I use a Kevin McAllister style security system of leaving crap in front of my doors so anyone breaking in will knock shit over and I'll hear it. One night I had a nightmare so vivid of someone entering my apartment via my second floor balcony that I found myself standing outside my bedroom door, disoriented and ready to fight. I had never felt unsafe in my apartment, but that dream really shook me and made me think I needed to be better prepared. I couldn't afford a security system, but I had a bunch of tiny bells left over from a craft project. I tied them at intervals along a long piece of string and hung it on the balcony door in a way that, if the door opened, it would make quite a bit of noise. Old school security alarm. I used to keep a baseball bat with a sock on the end near my bed when I lived alone. It's to give you a second chance to swing if someone grabs the bat on your first swing. They'll be staring a rando sock in their hand when you nail him in the balls or face. Thankfully, I never had to use it. My dog for tangible threats, and my cats for spiritual threats. I've lived alone in a downtown city and out of the city. What made me feel safe in the city was living in an apartment with a door that was inside a building rather than outside. Essentially, you had to have a key or passcode in order to get in, then keys to get in my apartment. However, I lived on the first floor, so I bought a door blocker and would put it behind my door as soon as I got home. I also have a baseball bat near my bed. I would sadly also have my blinds closed. Now, in my current place, I made sure I lived on the top floor and was a 2-door building. I still have a baseball bat, but I feel safer than when I lived downtown. I usually remember to lock the doors, but that's about it. I have a lot of strategically placed 3-wick jar candles. I don't actually burn them, they're there for pleasant scent and the fact that they can crack a skull. I had an incident many years ago, and as soon as you start lobbing those things, your target's gonna run. I no longer live alone, but when I did, I was very intentional about who knew where I lived and who I brought over. Current and ex-partners are far more likely to be dangerous than random strangers. Other than that, keeping doors and windows locked and alarmed doors when needed and maintain a mantra that I've done all I could, and stressing beyond that was no more helpful than being at peace. Living in fear is a prison. My gat and my cat. I don't live alone anymore, but when I did, my dog made me feel safe. Edit to add that even living with someone, my dog is a great alarm safety system, heart. When I lived alone in an apartment, I bought men's shoes from Goodwill, left them outside by the doormat so PPL didn't think I lived alone. That my 22 made me feel safe. A dog. He's little and fluffy, but any dog deters break-ins because they make noise and get in the way. It also goes a long way to quiet that paranoid "what if someone is hiding in the basement" voice, because I know he would smell an unusual person in the house. That, and honestly, I stopped watching crime shows. For as much as I love detective stories, it took me way too long to put it together that maybe my anxiety of being raped and murdered could be related to watching TV shows all day where someone gets raped and murdered, then going for a drive and listening to a podcast about someone who got raped and murdered, then unwinding before bed with a murder mystery. I stick to sitcoms now and I'm in a much happier headspace. My dog, large heavy spiky cacti around the windows, and this sounds silly, but I have these enormous heavy bookends with handle-looking things at the top. A baseball bat. Alexa can call emergency services. I read somewhere that someone attempting to break in will not spend more than 5 minutes getting in. Sadly, the point is to make your house less appealing and more trouble to break into than someone else's. My 130 pounds doggy. Huge sweetheart unless he thinks you're threatening me. As a father of 2 young girls, this thread scares me. I put dowels in the window sills, lock all the doors, bolt front door X2, pepper spray in the bedside table, sleep with my phone next to me. I dated a girl who slept in bed with a machete. She named it Kevin. Doorbell camera blink with echo show that can snap to a door view, a hockey stick at the top of the stairs, and a hammer by my bed. I lived in an apartment complex, which I believe is much safer than a house at times. I had a few things in front of my door that would make noise, and I would also always double check that I had fully locked my door. Being in a studio apartment, it was easier to keep myself safe out to the apartment. Like when I would get in the elevator with maybe a delivery man or someone that I had never seen in the building, or even someone that gave me bad feelings, I would go up a few floors or down a few floors. Then I would use the staircase to make my way to my apartment. I know it's a lot, but it also was my first time living alone, in Toronto, as an undergrad university student. So I had a bit of reason to be paranoid. My mom keeps a giant fucking dog in her home to feel safe, and I gotta say, she really is safe with that big bastard there. I got to know my neighbors, researched my neighborhood, and do not hide a key. I have trusted people with my key that help me out if I lock myself out or need someone to watch the kitties when I need the favor. My neighbors are great. We help each other out with the yard work, keep pests away, and keep an eye on the kids. My one neighbor is like the community grandpa. Yesterday, we had an incident where a man who seemed confused where he was and got into a neighbor's car. Neighbor made sure he wasn't going anywhere and called 911 once he realized this guy wasn't a threat. Get to know your neighbors, ladies. It will be awkward and stressful, but it's better to know who they are than to isolate and be caught off guard. I live alone, but it's in a small studio apartment in a secured building. Even though the building is secured, I lock my front door no matter how long I'm gone for. That means taking out the trash, going down the hall to pick up my laundry, etc. Door is always locked. Something I also do that I noticed my guy friends don't do is I check the peephole before opening the door at all times. Rottweiler. Wasp spray on your nightstand. It sprays 50 feet. A sassy shepherd and a gun.